like you feeling, oh no, hold on. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, hit okay. Like you feeling how you feel and being able to vocalize it is is one thing, but you saying it in a way that it also then influences somebody else to have a reaction.
Mhm.
There's part of that that is, hey, it's 50% on you, 50% on the doer. But also you muting yourself isn't helping anybody either. So it's almost kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of ordeal. But
Yeah.
there's also a variation, or maybe a, as an engineer, I'm sure you understand deviations.
Mhm.
So it's how or who you are doesn't have to be muted, but sometimes there's deviations in certain parts of who you are that you do hold dear, that you do keep to yourself and the tight circle around you in a physical sense that the online world doesn't deserve to see or
Right,
doesn't
right.
deserve to hear. But your main values and your main ideas and your opinions can still be expressed, but also maybe not, but and expressed in a way that they give somebody an insight. Those who understand it, it will give an insight to, oh, this is what you mean.
Right. I, I think that I almost said it goes without saying, but now it feels like a lot of what's been said does need to be restated or reemphasized, where it's that the world has real life consequences, and a lot of people seem to pretend that there isn't. And whether it's someone scamming, or like usually you have people that will jump out the window, they'll just do things, and it's like, oh, online is just it's like a new playground, or
Uh-huh.
it's the everybody has their sector or their need. Like a lot of people that are doing educational things won't
Uh-huh.
necessarily get involved with someone that's doing drama, controversy,
Correct.
um, social, political things, unless they just cross at, you said something that was offensive, somebody took it away, and then they like ran around the world with it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I think back to what you were talking about people just doing like acting without discretion. It's interesting because like I was telling you about watching some dating shows that people are doing, or where when they get online and they say, "Oh, well, women do this, men do this," and it's like, okay, are you hearing yourself? Or like sometimes there's productive conversations, but other times it's like, yeah, I don't think this person's aware of like what they're stepping into, like a hornet's nest where it's, oh
Uh-huh.
my God, I didn't realize you'd pick me, or like, oh, like, and, or even when it goes to like buying a house and seeing, okay, if I went into this without like a plan or an idea of how I was gonna move from day one to month one to like year one, and just being like, okay, maybe this wasn't all I thought it was gonna be, but I can uh give myself a task or goal to be like, okay, let me try to check this box off for my benefit
Uh-huh.
and not necessarily for someone else, because it's like I feel like whatever you get involved with, whether it's working, relationship, buying, purchasing something, like there's always a trade-off. Like you give something to get something from someone,
Yeah.
and then like there's no, I don't know if the term's like
But there's no
immaculate
free
con
lunch.
huh?
There's no free lunch.
Yeah, there's no free lunch, or there's no like I think when we started this, the big conversation was always like we have like the hustle culture that's kind
Ah,
of like
yes.
it's come and gone, but now we see like the memes of people that look at, oh, here's this hype coach, or here's this hype coach, and then once you start looking under the hood, it's like, well, when you're able to either see how they use social media to just make themselves seem bigger than life, but then there wasn't they weren't really a person of good character. Sure, they talked they talked a good game, but you have like people that are either doing takedown videos or they're just I think they're giving a second opinion of people that make a lot of claims, but then when you actually look into the evidence, it's like we didn't care to vet before whoever promoted this, or you start looking at the people that promoted the big shot, and you're like, oh wait, like this is a habit for you. You keep promoting these people because it brings you eyes and attention is what's being sold, whether it's positive or
Attention is the
negative.
highest commodity right now in the um, on the market.
Yeah.
And I think it's always been that, but I think
Mhm.
we have woke up to what that looks like. Like when when I think of the false pretense of anything, then you look at the people who are creating the content, the people who are distributing the content. There's always an end to it. Like there's an end to a means, or there's a means to an end for them. In that we don't know that they
Mhm.
do. So we might think, oh, this person deviated from this. It's like no, 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 no. That was always within a plan, but they also maybe have mis deviated too much from their own plan
Yeah.
that now they're having to create a plan as they go. Um, you know, that one coach that should be remain unmentioned because this is going to go public. Uh, relationship coach. I think there is a, if you would have understood how this would affect you, or if you would have understood how that people on the internet will make you and break you.
Mhm.
The same crowd that cheered for you is the same crowd that's going to crucify you. Then you would do your due diligence to make sure that you cover your tracks. I remember our last conversation. I was telling you how easy it is to be famous.
Mhm.
You, you have an idea, you stick to it, regardless, and you you bathe in the comment section. You bathe in the good comments and in the negative comments,
Yeah.
but you especially bathe in the negative comments because that is where a lot of eyes are, and that is where a lot of attention is coming from, and that is also where the viewers are coming from.
Mhm.
So yeah, you add fuel to the fire, but be careful not to add fuel to the fire so much that you actually start to burn the house that you're building. And I think that's what happens is you get caught up in the fueling the fire that you forget that this is a fire, and you forget that you live in a house that is made out of wood and paper.
Mhm.
And so when it goes down, you're like, oh no, immediately now I got to try to put, now I got to try to rebuild. But it's like, had you had a plan, had you
Yeah.
understood, and you're not going to be able to understand everything. But I think when you don't have an end goal in mind, you're right. It does put you in a place where you're just act completely crazy and you just kind of go off on a tangent and follow whoever best fits whatever you want in the moment.
Yeah.
Um, but man, it's hard to think that. I mean, people do it intentionally too, though. So,
Yeah. I guess
but
that
but back to your MLM thing. Okay, as you were saying that, I'm like, if you wouldn't have said MLM
yeah.
and you just said, you get recruited and you get told that this job that you're doing is going to get you to a place, and then once you get in, you realize that, oh, there's other steps involved, but you also realize that only a select few ever make it to the highest point possible to actually be able to have people under them. And you're like, man, I feel scammed. But then simultaneously, you're kind of like, well, since I'm here getting scammed anyway, let me go ahead and try to get as high as I can.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't have said MLM before, I would have thought you were talking about the military. But that's like from
Yeah.
from being in a military, that is the recruiting genius of how psychology works and how psychology literally has been utilized to do certain things, to
Right.
influence. um, a lot, and a lot of study has gone into that. Literally from the 1800s, that the psychology in recruitment, the psychology in quote unquote brainwashing, the
Yeah.
psychology in marketing. Um, it so you got over 80 years of psychology of studying
Hmm.
that I I think in my little genius head that I could just undo just like that. It's like, nah, it
Right.
don't work like that. It's like, yeah, we're all gonna get scammed at some point. It just depends on what exactly gets us scammed.
Yeah.
But to your other point though, because you were talking about hustle culture, it's been rebranded to trauma culture, trauma and
Hmm.
healing culture. It's no
Yeah.
longer hustle culture, but trauma and healing culture is the same as hustle culture
Yeah.
because you're doing it for visibility, not because it actually gets you anywhere. So you can get online and make claims, and you can do things that nobody's really gonna double check because they're probably scamming themselves too, or they're probably just doing their own thing. But
Yeah.
hustle culture has been rebranded to healing, to trauma, and to awareness, and to all of these buzzwords, psychological buzzwords that people have gathered and said, "Ooh, since we're not doing hustle thing anymore, let's go ahead." Because now you're starting to hear people who are platforms, people's platforms, who you would have never thought you're into that. There's
Mhm.
no way. In order for you to be into this, there has to be money coming in because of this. So
Yeah.
I get it. This is the trend that you're picking for your income. Great. Got it. But it's not because you believe in it. It's
Right.
because this is something that's making you money. So anytime you can find something that if you're smart enough to catch on a trend and you do it and you make income from it, kudos to you.
Yeah.
But it's unsustainable. So you're always looking for the next hustle. You're always looking for the next victims. You're always looking for the next people to recruit. You're always managing as you go because it's not sustainable. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think that is a lot of how we have evolved, which is again sad, but that is how we have evolved, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. It does seem like a lot of there's a lot of overlap with different things, whether we look at things from like schooling or okay, like you have like family is something important to be like, okay, you need families to have communities, to have countries, to have businesses. You need people to believe in things that they can unite around. And a lot of things is like you believe in it enough to where it's worth defending. Like something like school, for instance, and the military. Like we both went to school. I didn't go into the military, but like the reason I bring up school is that whether it kind of shows if you went to a school that focused on things that were useful, things like critical thinking, technical writing, public speaking, people that are able to think through problems that is are being presented to them, or people that are able to challenge something that they either don't understand or don't agree with.
Yeah,
And being able to do that on the regular helps helps you kind of navigate where you're going to go to. Like you'll take on a job and you have based on how you qualify for the job or what they're looking for at the time allows you to get a foot in the door. And then you get trained up to do so much. If you do it long enough, you do it well enough, you can master that, take your talents to something else that's either adjacent to it or you start your own and you kind of grow from there. Like someone that maybe doesn't go that route and goes into the military, it seems like it works well enough to where it's like it's giving you a place to be, it's giving you like a sense of community, it's giving you a goal to work towards. But then where maybe the rubber meets the road, it's like, okay, is this is there an issue with what's being done here? Like, and then once you have all of this,
Mhm.
like what happens when you leave? Is there a clear exit strategy? And then if you're just kind of forgotten about it, it's like, okay, so you had me do all this for you with this promise, whether it
Mhm.
was you're working for a pension, all of a sudden your pension's gone, or you're trying to get taken care of and then you're just not being looked after. It's that betrayal just really seems to cut deep in a lot of avenues. And with that, it's like you interject things like self-help, and then self-help turns into you've got to work, you got to grind, or you've got to move away from this thing that it worked for your parents, but obviously the environment that your parents grew up in isn't the same environment you're in. Like the prices have changed,
Mhm.
requirements have changed, and at the same time, it's you introduce this thing called social media, and you can have someone claim whatever it is, and because people want so much to believe in something, they're like, yeah, they're saying they're speaking to our pain points, they're identifying with me, they're they're mad at who I'm mad at, and it's like I'm gonna rally behind them. It's like, well, we need a champion, like someone here that I can touch and move with. It's like you keep going, and some people won't see the game that's being played where it's like this person's just leading you to get your strength, your resources, your whatever opportunity you grant them by validating what it is that they're claiming. And just seeing that go on and on, it's like on the one hand, you can try and make something different, or you see like, okay, am I gonna do anything different from someone that has more like they seem to have more things going for them than I maybe have for me. And like me trying to go against them isn't necessarily going to help me. But it's a weird thing where it's like on one end you can find yourself spiraling,
Mhm.
but on the same end it's like, okay, you pull the thread on enough things that are lies to where at least you say, I'm not falling for this same thing again. Or at least you make peace with, okay, I know that I'm gonna be taken advantage of this way, but at least I'm gonna do that till to work for my benefit. Like it's gonna help me make the rent at the end of the month. It's gonna help me maintain a house, have a car, get kids going here, get them to graduate, set them up to do the next thing and the next thing. And it's it's a weird roller coaster where like everybody has different roles that they play and everyone's like at different levels in this um day-to-day thing that we've got going on. But at the same time, yeah, I think the long end of it is like it's frustrating, but it's interesting to see who plays what note and what roles people are willing to like subjugate themselves to for money.
Well, I mean, listen, I was willing to put my feet online. I was willing to make an OnlyFans account for my feet. Not saying I could be bought, but my feet, hey, there's a price, right? There's a price. There's a price. There is a
Yeah.
price to my daggone little hairy feet, as ashy as they are. Um, that has a price, and apparently it, it it can have also an audience, right?
Hmm.
That's not to say that what we have deemed as a necessity or what we have deemed as whatever it isn't bad,
Yeah.
but it's like, does it meet what you're going for? I would always tell my soldiers when I was in the army, I said, listen, the army is a machine, the military is a machine, the army is a machine. It's going to keep going.
Hmm.
It's going to keep going, and it's going to keep rotating whether you're here or not. So you're here because this machine is going to keep going. That also means that you got to keep going just like the machine, but within the confines of the machine. So if you're here, make the best of it. Get your education. If there are courses that are available, take them. I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm not, I will tell them, I'm never going to deny you the opportunity to get an education or to take a course if I can help it. If I have the last say and you have proved that this is something that you want, I'm never going to stop that.
Yeah.
Like we can cover down on whatever you need and you can go get, but go get it. Don't sit here and cry about what the military has done to you. Yes, I get it, and that's not me being dismissive. But you're here now,
Mhm.
so because it's not going to change that. That's going to always happen. By the way, like
Yeah.
whatever they did to you is always going to happen. So, but take as much opportunities as you possibly can to better yourself because they taught you how to do your job. They didn't teach you how to move forward. So
Mhm.
you have to move yourself forward.
Yeah.
Um, but it there is this disappointment that you feel because you feel betrayed. But then it's kind of like, do I even have the right to feel betrayed? Because nothing really was promised to me. Nothing really was told that I was not gonna die. Like they never promised me safety. They said, "Hey, I'll get trained."
Mhm.
I mean, you're gonna be safe, or that doesn't mean that that excludes you from another idiot's mistakes. It's like you can do everything right and you will still at the mercy of somebody else's stupidity. It's like I could drive perfectly all day,
Mhm.
but I'm still also at the mercy of the drunk idiot that decided to get in his car and drive.
Yeah.
It's not because I was in the wrong, but me not being in the wrong doesn't exclude me from the consequences of those who are not in the right. So it's like when I started to see that, I started to say, let me try to insulate my environment with people who make sound decisions. I don't have
Mhm.
to agree with their sound decisions. That's theirs. But they're making the decisions that are not deceptive. They're making sound decisions for them. They're not telling me they're going to make a sound decision for me in mind. No,
Mhm.
they're saying, hey, I'm selfish and I'm going to make a selfish decision. Cool. I support that. I support that wholeheartedly. Make that selfish decision. And man, I hope it gets you what you want. I'm not encouraging selfishness, but I am encouraging, hey, be honest. This is a selfish decision I'm making.
Yeah.
I support that. But don't tell me you're doing something for me. But hindsight, it's a selfish decision, but you couldn't communicate that. So it is that the disappointment comes from thinking that other people are going to treat us in a way that we were quote unquote promised or the way that we romanticized life was going to be.
Yeah.
And when they don't, there is this self betrayal that happens. And I think that is the hardest one to come to grips with is the self betrayal. How could I let myself get into X and Y and Z with all my education, with all my understanding, with all my research?
Mhm.
How did I get into this situation? Oh, you were being human.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah.
following suit to what the inclination in the mind is. When
Yeah.
something happens, you respond a certain way. That's what was happening. And so I don't know if the the people who suffer from self-inflicted romanticized lives have like think that way,
Mhm.
but I know life has taught me to think that way. And some might call that cynical. That's cool, whatever definition you want to give it. That's just the way my mind is working. It's like I don't know, I don't know what to
Gotcha.
tell you.
Well,
um
I guess maybe I could ask you this. Like one of the things I saw from that documentary I was watching on the MLM or cult or um, people's need to belong. A lot of people that were interviewed, they mentioned over and over that they were basically in a place of desperation, and that's what allowed them to um, look past red flags where it's like, okay, this is weird. Like everybody's showing up here in the morning, high energy all the time, or like someone says that they're gonna work to be an owner that's supposed to be making six figures plus, but they're living in a house with multiple people. They don't own their own car, or they're having to get rides to and from. But it's like I have to believe in this dream that gets me out of my current situation into something better. And it's like if I admit to myself that I could have been fooled, like you were saying, with all of this, then um I either I can't let my ego do that, or it's just like it would have all been for nothing. And like um my question is, where does the difference lie in being able to make a decision when you've been you're so desperate where like a decision has to be made, and it's like it may not be the best decision, but it feels like it's the only decision you have to make.
I think I had to write this down for myself. Um, can you rephrase that again? Because
Yeah.
I, I,
So
I might not
so
have heard it clearly.
so looking at making a decision or taking on something that is plays into somebody else's being selfish. Like
Mhm.
if someone has their thing going on and it's just made to take advantage of people, from the outside looking in, you're thinking, I wouldn't normally do this. Like
Mhm.
for the
Okay.
small circle, slave circle documentary interviews that I was watching, it was like a lot of these people took on these positions because it's like they were looking for jobs, nothing was coming. And it's like out of desperation, this opportunity, as they like to call it, um, kind of jumped out and sunk their teeth in them because it's like, oh, you've been looking for a job. This job promises you start at a couple hundred to hundreds of thousands. It's like it's over promising this grandiose thing, but it's like I don't have anything. And if I latch on to this, I something's more than nothing. And even as they're going through it, they just keep getting um small returns, or if like next to nothing. But it's like,
Oh,
why is or can you think of a time where your desperation for a result had you make a decision
oh yeah.
that
Oh man. Oh, oh,
I
where do I begin? Hey, ay, ay, ay. Hey, what did the Africans say? My God, my God. Hey, Jesus. Hey, I think I've been part of an MLM. Let me say it.
Mhm,
And it wasn't desperation or the need to belong. It, I mean, I wasn't in it enough to get anything out of it.
mhm,
Um, it was, oh, that's cool. I could probably use that for myself too. Um, and the products worked.
mhm,
I mean, they weren't bad products; they were great products. But I wasn't trying to like build a team. Like,
mhm.
like you mean I get like 50% off of this? If I just, oh, okay, cool, right? So there there was that. I can't say there was a I can't say there was something that I got into because of desperation. Curiosity has got me in more trouble than desperation. Let me say that. Um, but definitely my curiosity said, "Oh, hey, that seems to be working for that person.
Yeah.
You try it, you could probably also get something out of it too." It wasn't for the end goal in mind. It was just part of the deviation that is built into the path of life or into my journey. It's like the way that my brain works is, oh, hey, look at that. oh, hey, squirrel. You know what I'm saying? So like it's like I have I have now understood my brain and how it works and how I'm wired to create space for those deviations without losing the path.
Yeah,
So if something is a deviation but it still meets the end goal, I'll do it. Not because I'm desperate. I'm curious.
yeah.
Um,
I guess to that, how have you been able to do that? Because I think that's something where it's like I can find myself entertaining too many ideas or kind
mm,
of going down the rabbit hole of seeing like what's going wrong around me or what's going wrong online and kind of not bringing it back to like, okay, where's somewhere reasonable I can get to? And like, what is it that I can do once I get there?
but so I think for me, I think for me it's uh, hmm, I'm trying to think of a core principle that puts me in that space for myself. I don't know.
Like,
I'm gonna have to get back to you on that.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Maybe I could give an example
okay. Yeah, give me an
as to
example.
like where I've like for me recently turned 36. So going from um how would you say maybe growing up industrious, like preacher's kid,
Mhm,
um having a strong faith, getting an education, going from immigrating to the States
mhm.
to like being a kid, I don't really know what that's about. Like it's just like, okay, hey, we're dad's here, we're going here, and then like coming together as a family, you go to school, you go to church, you meet friends, make friends, and just trying to either do good in the world and be good in the world. I would
Okay.
say maybe those were the things that I tried to land on. And then from joining sports teams, which now doing jujitsu, it's like having sports and kind of seeing that as like a camaraderie where it's like you get the fun of
Mhm,
doing something physical while also being able to reinforce your self-value and
mhm.
seeing like how home life is and what your how did you say like what you value at home and then learning to leave home and seeing like what you continue to value as a person. So like
Oh, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So
So, so
yeah.
I would say my example would be military related. Is that I valued um like my value of people and my value of the the core principle of just protecting those who you love, but also my trauma. Um, like can't wait to sprinkle that in there, right? So it's like, yeah, like all those things stayed, uh, but it was also reinforced by a need to be seen, a need to be valuable, um, a need to be significant.
Mm,
I would say that pushed a lot of my decisions. A need to be significant. Watching watching the commercial of a Marine slay a dragon and get dressed blues and the eagle globe and anchor and the sword, like during wartime, like, oh yeah, yeah, that person has significance.
yeah.
So let me also chase the same because I don't feel valued in my environment. Um, and I'm going to seek significance out. Um, you get in the military and then you realize, huh, that significance I was trying to feel still hasn't showed up. All right, I'll give it a couple more months.
Mm.
All right, I'll give it another year. give it 2 more years. So 10 years later, um, you still don't feel significant because you're still getting treated like crap by the people uh, who are working with you. So you you never achieve that. But then getting out, I realized, oh, my significance was always present. I just didn't recognize it.
Mm.
And I think to your point earlier, the the person or the brain that is in desperate need to find a solution quickly um, is is also the same brain that found a way to get into that situation quickly too. So the brain is always looking for the quickest way out. So it didn't have a process to getting to where it got to. It's not gonna have a process to getting out either until you you sit in your stuff long enough to work through the process and get to the end without trying to find a quick answer. But if a quick answer is what you're looking for, then hey, chat GPT it up. But I think again, the this romanticized idea that we have sold ourselves for such a long time, we hold on to that, and it's hard to let go of something that has kept you motivated. Um, like when people lose weight, they quickly gain it back because the motivation was to lose. Then they get there, and it's like, oh, but I still don't see myself a certain way, and they get depressed, and and that cycle continues. Um, so for me, I find a process that my values and my wiring can handle, and I go with that. That is probably the best way that I've learned how to make decisions. Is not tie it to my identity. Um, if I made it like legitimately, not even joking, if I made a decision to to post my feet online for money, right? I
You
keep
keep
using that
saying
example.
that, and people are gonna be out here trying to look for your feet online.
You wouldn't notice them anyway because they're hairy and ashy. Um, that's not me saying go find ashy hairy feet. Um, but I say that to say I use that example because it's the most outrageous example that I can think of myself doing for money.
Mm.
Um, like okay, cool, but it's like if I'm going to do that, I've also created a system in my head for that decision that says if you're going to do this, that means you are going to have to pre-accept what comes with that. So you can't cry when all of a sudden you can't get hired because somebody found your feet online at a job. Then my next question is, what would you do when looking for my feet? But anyway,
But again, I guess it's interesting how you came to that decision because it's like you have had people that have done more than put their feet online, and then the expectation, or usually the decision is based off of like, I just wanted to make money quick, or young, just wanted to have fun. And I guess it depends on like however something's justified. Usually, even when I think to the people that have been caught in so scandals, and sometimes I wonder, it's like y- you have the only thing that I've been able to view is how people react online, and then I realized that what people share online, it's recorded,
edited.
it's edited, it's
Yeah,
different things, and like
yeah.
if somebody has like a crash out moment where it's like they just blank out and then they're just saying everything, and it was funny seeing some people that went from like small time celebrity status, and then they were one of their lies were caught like 6 months later,
Mm,
and people were running around and basically being like, oh no, like you got to answer for this. And that person not being as well versed in the internet
mm,
space, or like knowing how to edit things, knowing how to present things. But you see a clear trend of what they were doing by evidence that they themselves recorded, thinking, oh, I'm going to do this to get an outcome. And it wasn't like of all the people that I've seen so far, I don't think I've seen anyone that's come to the conclusion of if I make this decision, I have to accept this. Or at least to me, it appears that their decision making appears to be I'm making this to accept the rewards that are coming,
Right,
not
but not the
necessarily the
consequences.
backlash.
Yeah,
So it's like
listen.
the backlash isn't even thought of, or like the people that expect the backlash,
Mhm.
they already know that they're going to use the backlash as a way to like launch
Correct.
them
There's a
to
plan
the
for the
next thing.
backlash. Like the
Yeah,
backlash is built in with a plan. That I was
right.
like, okay, cool. Get negative reviews this way. I'm going to spin it this way, and I'm still going to end up on top. There is a plan for the backlash.
Yeah.
I think what does happen, which I've appreciated, the the last event that Mike Tyson had,
Hmm.
right? And I appreciated the fact that there's video footage of words. There's video footage of trash talk.
Hmm.
There's also video footage of a punch in the face.
Hmm.
Now, marketing is great, but to get in the ring with Mike Tyson, you have to be willing to get hit because now you're poking a bear. You're poking somebody who is seasoned and well versed in brutally letting you know his presence is in your face, right? Like this is Mike Tyson. So to talk trash to Mike, knowing who Mike is, you also got to be willing to take a punch. So I appreciated the contender
Hmm.
for being willing to take a punch and not crying afterwards. Because that was you know what, big ups because I see what you did. I can appreciate the accountability in the face of a fist from Mike Tyson.
Yeah. But
But
but we're
but
talking present day,
right,
right? And
right,
also the fist, I guess was it a fist or the slap that happened pre-fight versus in fight, and then even pre-fight, you're seeing Mike's cheeks, and and
right.
then it's
So
like,
there's a whole lot there's a whole lot of happen because also, hey, listen, if you're a reporter and you go into the locker room, you gotta see some things they probably do, but that comes with a job, right?
right,
Unfortunately, but it is one of those things that you can't have something without sacrificing something else, or you can't do something without the expectation of a reward or punishment. And I think when we start to mindlessly do stuff,
yeah.
I think that is where the issues come in because the issue isn't in the doing. The issue is in, is it purposeful or is it mindless?
Mhm.
Because if it's mindless, why are you doing it? So the
Well,
desperation,
wait, what, when you ask that question, is it purposeful or is it mindless? Are you asking that to the person performing the act for all to witness, or
yes, yes,
okay,
because like if it's purposeful, oh, okay, I get it. Great
yeah.
marketing genius. Cool. If it's mindless, hey, you might want to rethink that because the
What do you mean
consequences.
by mindless though?
Mindless is you're just doing it to just do it. Like there's no follow through. There's no afterthought about like what happens after the fact.
Mhm.
Um,
Well,
like
I guess like is a
mind. Okay, I'll say
yeah,
mindless is the desperation and the way that you're not thinking clearly. That's why I say mindless. You're not thinking clearly. You're thinking like it's very muddy in your process that you're not able to see the end result of what you're doing,
got you.
or you're also not able to see the accountability that you're gonna have to take.
Like when you say that, I'm thinking of someone that's tweaking out, like someone that's literally lost their mind. They're
Mhm.
not thinking, okay, I'm gonna record this, post it online, get ad revenue behind it, get
But yeah, I mean, true.
get
It's one thing to be mid crash out in your own private space and somebody else records it
yeah,
and they post it without your knowledge. and now you're gonna have to figure out a way to either use this as leverage or try to figure out a way to kind of recoup whatever um, reputation that you have.
Right, right,
And so it's like when you see or hear about certain things, and you're like, why are you surprised that happened? Why are you surprised that this rapper slept with this person and this happened with? It's like, have you not seen the industry? Like, this is literally what happens in the industry. How are you surprised?
right.
Or like the 91st 90
90
Day
Day
Fiance.
Fiance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like this show has been on for multiple seasons.
Right,
My God, today, like you didn't take the time to actually watch it. Like you're on this because you watched it. So I know you know what happens.
right. But
Unless
it, but
unless you're
yeah,
on here because there is a long game that you're playing that you're going to use this as leverage. I know some Nigerian brothers on that show that's been on multiple seasons,
mhm,
multiple different women.
right,
Hey, they found a niche and and they stuck to it because that is what worked.
right.
Kudos to you because you've watched it, you peep game, and you're still playing because you understand the rules of the game.
Yeah.
But for somebody else to come in and say, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know this person was going to do that," but then again, also, it is edited and clipped to be a certain way. But again, it's you've seen it time and time again. How do you think? Why do you think this wasn't going to also happen to you? Mm.
Just wishful thinking.
Very, 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 very,
Whimsicalness.
very Disney-like thinking.
Well, I mean it's well, it goes back to that old saying of like 15 minutes of fame. And
Mm.
like with a lot of these people, I'm sure whether it's 90 Day Fiance, Life After Lockup, or anything that's like quote unquote reality TV, you have people that are have their day-to-day going on, and then all of a sudden you have a network comes to them saying, "Oh, we're going to pay you this much to get on here and act out." Or even if people don't promise them money, they're probably thinking of like, "Oh, I've got my brand, I've got this thing." Like going back to the some of the interviews I was watching is like some people, as soon as they know I'm going to talk to someone that has a platform or something that I can gain from, they get on, they start making shout outs or they start talking about like this or that. Or even if they don't say it out loud, some people might be more subtle, like they'll wear their clothing brand or they'll wear something where it's like, okay, hey, here's how somebody might be curious about this, and then they'll go investigate. But it, like to your point, it's like that is that like mindfulness of like they thought of, hey, I'm going to instigate this fight.
Mm.
I'm going to go through the fight.
Mm.
And then the backlash that happens after it, like people, the more they talk about it, whether they say I got beat up or I'm going to get beat, like they're talking about
Right.
me.
The more it talks,
And
the more my
yeah,
name is right. So the more the algorithm is feeding the machine, and the more money I'm making. Like
yeah.
that's purposeful marketing, right? That is purposeful marketing, I believe. But there's a video I saw of this girl that was talking about how bouncers at clubs need index cards,
Mm,
and how if you can't read and comprehend the sentence, you shouldn't be allowed into the club because if you can't comprehend this, that means
mm,
anything that happens in there, you can't comprehend it.
mm.
So you shouldn't be in there if you can't pass this, right? And so, and I thought it was funny, but I was like, come to think of it, majority. Okay, like if uh, I think it said most adults read it at an eighth grade level,
Mm.
and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, eighth graders are reading some hard books, I think. Um, but but then there's like I I I forgot how it is to be in eighth grade. So
Yeah.
I have nieces that are in eighth grade, and talking to them, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is how you comprehend the world.
Mm.
My God, today that means if this is how you and they're bright, smart.
Yeah.
If this is how you see the world, that means over 80% of the of America adults
Mhm.
see the world the same way because the comprehension is at an eighth grade level. If you went to a public school, I don't know how that bodes well, but
Right.
so there's that. So then you have people who are also then speaking above people's understanding level and then expecting the end resort.
No, you had it right the first time.
Did I get it?
Yeah,
Did I
result.
get it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
The end result.
yeah.
Ah! English is my second language. That's my caveat. It's not my primary language, but they don't expect that. They're now expecting the same result as if they were talking to their contemporaries. And then when they don't get that result, it's like, wait, what happened? I thought it's like, oh, I should have gone into this understanding that who I'm talking to is probably not going to comprehend what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So it's not, let me dumb myself down, but let me work to get to the people who can actually understand what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm gonna get some 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 overspray here and there, but at least my content is curated to these people.
yeah,
So there's a purpose in that. But I think what does happen is that when we are going through something or when we witness something and we don't actually get it, then it creates a whole different reality. It creates a whole different narrative that we now have romanticized, i.e., I remember driving with my niece who is going to eighth grade. Remember driving with her, and I said, she was like, "Well, why did you stop at that light, or could you just have gone?" I was like, "No, because the rules of the road, and there's also cars coming." She was like, "Oh, okay. Well, shoot, if I was driving, this is how I would drive." I said, "Okay," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Come to think of it, how you just described driving is how I just witnessed multiple different people drive.
yeah,
Oh my God. So like again, it's we we have given space to people who think a certain way, but yet we are trying to uh, give them something that would change the way that they think, and they don't want to because that benefits them.
yeah,
So now you reverse back to the 40s or to the 60s when the whole house we're going to loop back to the housing thing.
yeah,
Um, how if this narrative was pushed continuously and regurgitated continuously, it makes sense that the rest of the world will see you as a dummy for not trying to get a house
mhm,
because they're like, but it works this way, and you're like, ah, not from my experience.
yeah,
But then it's like, bump your experience. It's supposed to work this way. It's like, well, how it's supposed to work isn't how it usually works. Nothing does.
yeah.
It textbook working one way versus reality working a different way is different. But again, the people who believe one way feel like they're justified by being ignorant and don't have to change the way that they think. And if you think you're above that, you are not excluded from the mistakes or the repercussions from the people who made the dumb decisions.
That's fair.
I think that was the longest way to say people suck sometimes.
Yeah,
People suck
it's
sometimes. I suck sometimes.
right,
Um,
right. And it's one of those things where it's like in maybe a good way to end on is looking at things can be frustrating at times and just not trying to think that the world operates in an ideal way. But sometimes it's good to know that, okay, like we can agree on some things like the rules of the road
mm,
or the like you can be selfish enough, but also like follow enough of the rules that we've established as a collective to kind of not hurt those in your immediate vicinity. Because if everybody was just doing whatever they wanted at all times and like took no repercussions of like stopping at a red light or like just regurgitating everything or like just eating all the desserts before a
Mm,
full meal, then it's like you end up in a world that's very uncomfortable. A lot of people get hurt in the process. You got accidents upon accidents, and it's like I think all in all, it feels like it's good to remind myself at times, like when I'm missing podcasting, but also knowing when to log off when it's like,
right.
okay, that's enough internet for today. Like you swipe sometimes or you scroll and you're just like, yeah, I think that's enough internet for now. I could go sit outside for a little bit and
Right.
enjoy and just enjoy something a little bit different. Like at least that's still an option. And yeah,
But okay, so to your point though, I think knowing your boundaries and knowing your limits and knowing your threshold of like, yeah, you know what, I'm tapped.
yeah.
I'm good. Let me not. But I think there are people who overconsume, and then because I mean, I don't have to go too far for that example. I do it. Like when I overconsume, and then I'm like, I'm not feeling too great about myself. I'm not feeling too great about my life, or I'm not feeling too great about posting something because my lighting doesn't look a certain way, or I don't look a certain way, or I don't say things a certain way, or my way of speech is a little slow, or man, I wish I can convey a point like this person is. It gets a little too much, and I have to know when to log off and refocus and recenter myself and saying, hey, I'm enough as I am, and flaws and all, and get back, just get back to it. But it doesn't. Awareness is costly. Awareness is costly, and it's often something it's romanticized, but it's costly. It's going to cost you the rose-colored glasses that you've been given. Um, when you see how something works, or when you see certain intricacies of how something works, you start to say, I can't even I can't associate with that, or I don't want to be part of that. No matter how desperate I get, I, I can't allow myself to fall victim to something. But then when I catch myself in the same thing that I said I can't fall victim to, I said, you knew better. You didn't. And now, okay, sit with the consequences. Don't stay there. Sit with the consequences, learn from them, and try to do better next time. Try to make better decisions. Try to give yourself a little bit more grace. So like doing all those things like um hasn't hasn't failed me yet. Let me say that it hasn't failed me yet. But I also think there is something to be said about um the freedom you have of having a secondary choice or a third choice,
Yeah.
of knowing like, hey, I can log off. I don't have to be offended. I realize that there are some people who don't have that third option, or don't know that third option exists.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, the off button is there. You can literally just and end the show right there, and that's it. But it's like this this feeling of being um, socially accepted, included, prevents you from having or creating a third option. Um, I can say, hi, I'm Theo and I'm 40 and I still live with my mom. If I just said that, everybody on the internet would be like, a 40-year-old man living at home? My God, who wants to marry this fool? Right? It's like, would you ever marry or date a man that still lives at home with his mom? But nobody knows the backstory. They just know what I just said, or they just know a small little glimpse of my life, and now they're making judgments right off of that. For me, I've learned to say, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fight the world for them seeing me a certain way, but I'm not going to, or I'm gonna do my best to not allow the world to also affect the way I see myself. And I think that's my end goal in anything I do, is like, even if the world sees you a certain way, you don't have to see yourself the same way. Um, yeah. Yeah,
That's well said.
that's what I would leave, the folks with.
I think that's fair enough. And
And I'm still gonna take pictures of my feet.